Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. Whenever I go to say it's a great book, first of all, that feels so simplistic to describe a book, but also it's hard to call a book great when there's really sad moments in the book that almost it feels like you're just painting over it to say, well, it was a great book, but it has really hard moments, but I guess I would still say it's a great book, even though, yes, with the acknowledgement that these sad things happen, but that's like life. You wouldn't say you just had a terrible life just because of the sad moments. You still had a good life, even though sad things happened. So I guess that's where I fall on that. So if anyone asks me, is it a great book? Yes. I'm gonna read a couple of my favorite parts. He grows up really poor, and I remembered before going back through the book, there were some things that stuck for me, like when he steals lemonade out of the back of a truck and brings it home proudly to give some to his mom when she's sick, and he feels like, you know, it's bad on the one hand to steal, but he's helping his mom, giving her a nice cool drink. And you get to hear about these moments where he's kind of wondering what's good and what's bad, especially with the religion that he's supposed to follow so, you know, so strictly in that time, with going to communion and confessing to priests about, you know, having impure thoughts and things like that. So basically, as he just grows through his years, you're getting his thoughts straight from him. And I always remembered the parts of his father coming home drunk, because he was an alcoholic and would be singing boisterously and would ask the kids, would you die for Ireland? Would you die for Ireland? And wanting the kids to say yes. So Frank knew that would make his father happy to say yes, and he would say yes. And I think he knew he'd get a bit of money if he agreed to die for Ireland. And this is the part I'll start reading right here. There's a noise upstairs, and when we go up, we find Dad and Mam and the missing furniture. It's nice and warm there, with a fire blazing in the grate. Mam sitting in the bed, and Dad reading the Irish press and smoking a cigarette by the fire. Mam tells us there was a terrible flood, that the rain came down the lane and poured in under our door. They tried to stop it with rags, but they only turned sopping wet and let the rain in. People emptying their buckets made it worse, and there was a sickening stink in the kitchen. She thinks we should stay upstairs as long as there is rain. We'll be warm through the winter months, and then we can go downstairs in the springtime if there is any sign of dryness in the walls or the floor. Dad says it's like going away on our holidays or to a warm foreign place like Italy. That's what we'll call the upstairs from now on, Italy. Malachi says the Pope is still on the wall downstairs and he's going to be all cold, and couldn't we bring him up? But Mam says no, he's going to stay where he is because I don't want him on the wall glaring at me in the bed. Isn't it enough that we dragged him all the way from Brooklyn to Belfast to Dublin to Limerick? All I want now is a little peace, ease, and comfort. So I love just that they make their own coziness out of, through having all these hard times, they still have these happy moments. And I remember a part where Frank goes out with his little brothers, takes them out in the pram, and steals a banana from one of the fruit stands, steals a bunch of bananas, and then yeah, so there's another part I'll read. 345, page 345. Sunday nights I sit outside on the pavement under Mrs. Purcell's window, listening to plays on the BBC and Radio Iran, the Irish station. You can hear plays by O'Casey, Shaw, Ibsen, and Shakespeare himself. The best of all, even if he is English. Shakespeare's like mashed potatoes. You can never get enough of him. And you can hear strange plays about Greeks plucking out their eyes because they married their mothers by mistake. One night I'm sitting under Mrs. Purcell's window listening to Macbeth. Her daughter Kathleen sticks her head out the door. "Come in, Frankie. My mother says you'll catch the consumption sitting on the ground in this weather." "Ah, no, Kathleen, it's all right." "No, come in." They give me a tea and a grand cut of bread slathered with blackberry jam. Mrs. Purcell says, "Do you like the Shakespeare, Frankie?" "I love the Shakespeare, Mrs. Purcell." "Oh, he's music, Frankie, and he has the best stories in the world. I don't know what I'd do with myself of a Sunday night if I didn't have the Shakespeare." So there's just these beautiful little moments, and through them getting flea infestations, through them having to go to the St. Vincent de Paul's, and their father getting the dole money that he may choose to spend on some drink, and it's definitely a book I'm so happy I even had in my possession. I think my sister had it in her room and would just throw it in a bin because she was like, the cover kind of freaks me out. And then I remember I picked it up one day and was gonna leave it in one of those little street side cabinet libraries. I was just gonna give it away or try reading it. I don't really know what was going through my head, but I went and sat in the park and started reading it, and then over the next few months just couldn't stop it. You know how it's when you're really liking a book and it's cozy and you just want to go into that world. Yes. So here's another part. Mam puffs on her woodbine. "Well, we have all day, though I'd like to do a bit of shopping early before the best hams are gone at Barry the Butcher. She can't leave the fire and we can't leave the lane for fear the telegram boy might come and find no one home. Then we'd have to wait till Monday to cash the money order, and that would destroy the weekend entirely. We'd have to watch the Meehans and everyone else parading around in their new clothes and staggering home with eggs and potatoes and sausages for Sunday and sailing off to the films on Saturday night. No, we can't move an inch till that telegram boy comes. Mam says don't be too worried between noon and 2 because so many telegram boys go for their dinner, and there will surely be a big rush between 2 and the Angelus. We don't have a thing to worry about till 6. We stop every telegram boy. We tell them our name is McCourt, that this is our first telegram, It should be 3 pounds or more. They might have forgotten to put our name on it or our address. Is he sure? Is he sure? One boy tells us he'll inquire at the post office. He says he knows what 'tis like to wait for the telegram because his own father is a drunken old shit over in England that never sent a penny. Ma'am hears him inside and tells us you should never talk about your father like that. The same telegram boy comes back just before the Angelus at 6 and tells us he asked Mrs. O'Connell at the post office if they had anything for the McCourt all day, and they didn't. Ma'am turns toward the dead ashes in the fire and sucks at the last bit of goodness in the woodbine, but caught between the brown thumb and the burnt middle finger. Michael, who is only 5 and won't understand anything till he's 11, like me, wants to know if we're having fish and chips tonight because he's hungry. Ma'am says next week, love, and he goes back out to play in the lane. And when I read this, I was pregnant, so I had a lot of unsureness and just a lot of time that I was sitting there reading this and just thinking about what the course of life can be, and any struggles I was having was nothing compared to fleas and flooded basements or flooded first floors of the house. And Frank is so sweet when he's delivering telegrams and meeting all these characters who are also poor. And in one account he says, I want to take Mrs. Spillane and her 2 blonde crippled children and put them in that house in the country with the pile of rags and the man from the Boer War, and wash everyone and let them all sit in the sun with the birds singing and the streams gurgling. I can't leave the pile of rags alone with a useless money order, because the pile is an old woman, Mrs. Gertrude Daly, all twisted with every class of disease you can get in a Limerick lane. Arthritis, rheumatism, falling hair, a nostril half gone from her jabbing at it with her finger, and you wonder what kind of a world is it when this old woman sits up from the rags and smiles at you with teeth that gleam white in the dark, her own teeth, and perfect. That's right, she says, me own teeth. And when I rot in the grave, they'll find me teeth 100 years from now, all white and shiny, and I'll be declared a saint. The telegram money order, 3 pounds, is from her son. It has a message. Happy birthday, Mammy. Your fond son, Teddy. She says, I wonder he can spare it, the little shit, trotting around with every tart in Piccadilly. She says if I ever do her a favor and cash the money, she asks if I'd ever do her a favor and cash the money order and get her a little Baby Powers whiskey at the pub, a loaf of bread, a pound of lard, 7 potatoes, 1 for each day of the week. Would I boil a potato for her, mash it with a lump of lard, give her a cut of bread, bring her a drop of water to go with the whiskey? Would I go to O'Connor the chemist for ointment for her sores, and while I'm at it bring some soap so she can give her body a good scrub? And she'll be forever grateful and say a prayer for me, and here's a couple shillings for all my troubles. Ah, no thanks, ma'am. Take the money, little tip. You did me great favors. I couldn't, ma'am, the way you are. Take the money or I'll tell the post office you're not to deliver my telegram anymore. Oh, all right, ma'am. Thanks very much. Good night, son. Be good to your mother. Good night, Mrs. Daly. Oh, I like this, 379. Out beyond Ballina Curra, I climb orchard walls for apples. If there's a dog, I move on because I don't have Paddy Clohessie's way of talking to them. Farmers come at me, but they're always slow in their rubber boots, and even if they jump on a bicycle to chase me, I jump over the walls where they can't take a bike. The abbot knows where I got the apples. If you grow up in the lanes of Limerick, you're bound to rob the odd orchard sooner or later, Even if you hate apples, you have to rob orchards or your pals will say you're a sissy. I always offer the abbot an apple, but he won't eat it because of the scarcity of teeth in his head. He has 5 left, and he won't risk leaving them in an apple. If I cut the apple into slices, he still won't eat it, because that's not the proper way to eat an apple. That's what he says, and if I say, "You slice bread before you eat it, don't you?" he says, "Apples is apples and bread is bread." That's how you talk when you're dropped on your head. So they eat, the kids eat bread and goody, which look out for that when you're reading this. They love the mushy food Mam makes in a pot, bread mashed up in milk and water and sugar. Mam calls it bread and goody. And this is the part where he gets the bananas. My mother tells me all the time, never, never leave that playground except to come home. But what am I to do with the twins bawling with the hunger in the pram? I tell Malachi I'll be back in a minute. I make sure no one is looking, grab a bunch of bananas outside the Italian grocery shop, and run down Myrtle Avenue away from the playground, around the block and back to the other end where there's a hole in the fence. We push the pram to a dark corner and peel the bananas for the twins. There are 5 bananas in the bunch, and we feast on them in the dark corner. The twins slobber and chew and spread banana over their faces, their hair, their clothes. I realize then that questions will be asked. Mam will want to know why the twins are smothered in bananas. Where did you get them? I can't tell her about the Italian shop on the corner. I will have to say, a man. That's what I'll say, a man. Then the strange thing happens. There's a man at the gate of the playground. He's calling me. Oh God, it's the Italian. Hey, Sonny, come here. Hey, talking to ya, come here. I go to him. You the kid with the little brothers, right? Twins? Yes, sir. Here. Got a bag of fruit. I don't give it to you. I throw it out, right? So, here, take the bag. You got apples, oranges, bananas. You like bananas, right? I think you like bananas, eh? Ha ha. I know you like the bananas. Here, take the bag. You got a nice mother there. Your father? Well, you know, he's got the problem, the Irish thing. Give them twins a banana. Shut 'em up. I hear 'em all the way across the street. Thank you, sir. Geez, polite kid, eh? Where'd you learn that? My father told me to say thanks, sir. Your father? Oh, well. Dad sits at the table reading the paper. He says that President Roosevelt is a good man and everyone in America will soon have a job. Mam is on the other side of the table feeding Margaret with a bottle. She has the hard look that frightens me. Where did you get that fruit? The man. What man? The Italian man gave it to me. Did you steal that fruit? Malachi says, the man gave Frankie the bag. And then there's that part where his dad offers to give them money if they say they'll die for Ireland. He comes to the bedroom door. Up, boys, up. A nickel for everyone who promises to die for Ireland. Up, boys, up, Francis, Malachi, Oliver, Eugene. The Red Branch Knights, the Fenian men, the IRA. Up, up. Mam is at the kitchen table, shaking, her hair damp, her face wet. Can't you leave them alone, she says. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, isn't it enough that you come home without a penny in your pocket, without making fools of the children on top of it? And he has tricks that he uses to cover up the holes in his pants, which I've done. If I have a hole in my leggings, I've scribbled some black marker on my leg so that you maybe can't tell. We wear short pants till we're 13 or 14, and our long stockings always have holes to be darned. If she has no wool for the darning and the stockings are dark, we can blacken our ankles with shoe polish for the respectability that's in it. It's a terrible thing to walk the world with skin showing through the holes of our stockings. When we wear them week after week, the holes grow so big we have to pull the stocking forward under the toes, so that the hole in the back is hidden in the shoe. On rainy days, the stockings are soggy and we have to hang them before the fire at night and hope they'll be dry by morning. Then they're hard with dirt cake and we're afraid to pull them on our feet for fear they'll fall on the floor in bits before our eyes. I felt this coziness of even just having your little bit of food, your little bit of potato and bread, and just being by the fire, puffing on a woodbine. There's so many little things that are brilliant and lovely that you find in here. All of it. And it would be cheesy to be like, I laughed, I cried, all the emotions. But it's a life, and